Are you tired of stressing about social media with what to post, when to post, and how to keep up with the latest trends? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you my AI social media automation that posts on autopilot in my style using best practices across all of my platforms that include TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever other social media platforms that you want to connect, all through a simple Google Sheet and this automation. So be sure to stick around for the full tutorial. And if this happens to be your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan, and I help business owners, executives, and creators leverage AI to scale content, establish trust, and build strong personal brands in an AI first world. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools, prompts, and even automation templates, including the one that I'm going to show you in this video, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. You can find the link for this in the video description or pinned comment below. And once you get my free guide, scroll down to my free AI automation templates, and here you will find this social media template that I'm going to show you in this video, including the JSON file, the tools that I used, and also the Google Sheet template. So this might look overwhelming if you're new to AI automations, and in order to make this setup as simple as possible, I do suggest using make.com. Now you can also use N8N, Zapier, Gumloop, or other no-code automation platforms, but if you're following along, it's just easier if you're using the same platform as me. And so once you sign up for a free account with make.com, all you need to do is click create a scenario, and then right here you'll see more with these three dots, and then it'll say import blueprint. So you click import blueprint, import file or choose file, and this is where you would import that JSON file that I just shared with you that's available in my free AI marketing guide, which again, you can get this in the video description or pinned comment below, and you would download this JSON file to your desktop and then upload it right here. And then what should happen is you should see a screen that looks like mine. So now let's walk through this AI social media automation step by step. And before I can go down the rabbit hole of modules and what inputs and all these things to connect here, there are some prerequisites that you do need. The very first one is this Google Sheets template. I will leave a link to this in the video description below. I'd recommend using this, or what I'm going to show you will not work. And once you get this template, come click File, click Make a Copy, and then that way you have your own version of this Google Sheet. You'll notice the columns here are title, media URL, caption, status, and posted date. Make sure you do not touch those columns or this automation will not run correctly. Now that you have that Google Sheet, the next thing that you need is a Google Drive folder that will house all of your media assets, such as images and videos. The important part to call out here is that you want to make sure that this Google Drive folder is available to the public. So you need to make sure that this is on anyone with the link and not restricted. You can just leave it as a viewer and this automation will work successfully. The other important thing to call out here is that every single media file must be under 100 megabits or this automation will also not work. I spent hours trying to figure out this troubleshooting deal, and that's what I ended up discovering. And I do leave all of these notes right here on this Google Sheets template under important notes. So just make sure that you read these first, go ahead and create another copy here, and then that way you have your prerequisites. The additional prerequisite that you need is a tool called Blotato. You do have to be on the $29 a month plan, as Blotato handles all the social media APIs that you'll see right here. TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. They have several different social media connections within their platform, and you do have to be on that paid plan of $29 a month in order to use the social media APIs. Now, for those who are thinking, well, I'm just going to use a free one or that's too expensive, just realize there are AI tools charging hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, just for access to social media APIs. Look at tools like Hootsuite, for instance, that charge $99 a month per user on the standard plan. On the advanced plan, it gets up to $250 per user. Or Sprout Social, that starts at $200 a seat on the standard plan, right? These are all using social media APIs, similar to what Blotato is doing within that automation. Or even tools like Buffer, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these different social media management tools are severely overcharging just to use APIs. So always keep that in mind, as $29 a month is actually a steal, in my opinion, for what you get. And I will leave my referral link for Blotato in the video description below. I do get a little kickback from that, but that does help support me and this channel at no additional expense to you. I'll also leave my in-depth review of Blotato in the description below as well. So now that we have our prerequisites dialed in of a Google Sheets template, a Google Drive folder, and then also a paid Blotato account, now I'm going to walk through each module step by step of this AI social media automation. So let's start at the very beginning with this Google Sheets module. If I click into this, the first thing that you need to do is establish your connection with your Google account. So you would click add and then sign in with Google. Now, I will say from experience, if you are having integration issues, I will leave a troubleshooting video in the description below. For whatever reason, Make.com can make Google account integration difficult sometimes. So I do want to alert you of that. And then once you establish your Google connection, just leave search by path, click My Drive, and then this is where you want to find that Google Sheets template that you made a copy of. So here is my file right here, Blotato Automation Demo Ryan Dozer Personal Brand. Notice that that's the title of my spreadsheet ID, which is right here. So make sure you're clicking or finding the correct spreadsheet here. Then for sheet ID, this is very important. This is just the name of that sheet. So on this Google Sheet right here, notice how it says Sheet 1 on the bottom left. I have some other ones here that I'll talk about in a little bit, but the important part here is that we want to make sure that Sheet 1 is the same title as the sheet ID right here. So if I click the drop down, you'll notice all those other tabs pop up. I'm going to leave this on Sheet 1. Make sure you also leave this query as is, or this automation will not run successfully. So just leave it as is. And for limit, we also want 1. As in this example, I just want to post 1 time a day. Then I'm going to click save. And then also, as you're configuring this automation, make sure that you're frequently clicking save here on the bottom toolbar. Now for the next module here where it says get Google Drive ID, you literally don't have to touch anything here. Maybe just double check that the pattern looks the same as mine. All of these should be checked correctly. And then double check that the text option here is pulling to the same media URL Google Drive column B. Notice how it has that Google Drive URL right here. That's what it needs for this module to work. So just double check that this looks the same as mine, which it should, and then click save. Now the next module, upload image and videos to Blotato, this is where we first need to establish our API connection with our Blotato account. So you will not be connected here since obviously you're not signed into my Blotato account. So what you would need to do is click add, and then it's going to ask for an API key. So make sure that you log into your Blotato account, and then from the left-hand side, click settings, and then you should see an option that says API up here. And here it'll say API access, click copy API key, go back to your make automation, paste it in here, then click save. Now, I'm not going to do that obviously in this example since my account is already integrated. And then once your connection is established, again, this URL should be exactly the same for what you need as well. So do not touch this. Maybe just make sure that what it's pulling from that Get Google Drive module looks exactly the same as I'm showing you right here. So just leave that as is, click save, and then go ahead and click save again. So after we've connected our Blotato account to Make.com, now we need to integrate all of our relevant social media platforms that we want to post from through this automation. And in order to do that, we need to go back to the Blotato dashboard, click Settings on the bottom left here in the menu, and then click Accounts up top. And Blotato makes this process very easy. You'll notice here, they also have the most relevant social media platforms available, whether it's X or Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Pinterest, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And the team is always going to be adding the latest and greatest social media channels as they appear. In order to integrate with whatever channels you want, simply click Login with Twitter, log in with LinkedIn, etc. And as you do this and authenticate those, notice on the bottom under connected accounts, your integrations will start appearing here. And this is what we're going to need in order for the next steps to work correctly. So once you've integrated all of your relevant social media profiles, let's go back to the automation here. And then one by one, you can start going through your relevant platforms. So let's say you want to integrate your TikTok account. So let's click this module right here. The first thing that you need to do is establish your connection within each of these modules. So you'll click the drop down and you should see your connection appear here since we already established that in the previous example. So once you click your connection, click your platform. So in this instance, if you want to leave it on TikTok, leave it on TikTok, click the drop down, and it should automatically find my TikTok account based on that integration I did that's showing right here. Right here's my TikTok account, has its own account ID, and then it's automatically populating inside this module right here. So then for privacy level, I want it public to everyone. AI generated, no. And then for the text, again, this should be as is if you upload my template, but just double check these. For the text box, we want to make sure that this is pulling from caption C. This is column C in our spreadsheet right here. So this is column C. That's where it's pulling that caption from. And if I go back to the automation, make sure that is caption C right here. And then for media URL, we want to make sure that it's pulling the media URL from this module right here. This is what's going to pull those media files, so the images and videos from that Google Drive folder. And so once these look correct, all you need to do is click save. And then you would repeat that same process for whatever other social platforms that you want to integrate. So if you want to integrate your YouTube channel, you would do the same thing. You'd come down here, click YouTube, find your YouTube account. Now, some of these are a little different, so that's why I'm going through each of these one by one versus just saying, here's how you do it, now copy and paste it. So for the video title, I like to leave this as A. So in that spreadsheet here, that's why I like to name each social media post, because for the YouTube Shorts title, it is different than the TikTok title, the Instagram Reels title, the title for, X or LinkedIn or all the other platforms. YouTube Shorts is different there, and this does matter, right? And so we want to make sure that that title is filled out in that Google Sheet. For status, I leave it at public. Notify subscribers, I just want it at no. If I'm going to keep blasting out YouTube Shorts every day, I don't really want to bombard my subscribers. And then also for the text, just like last time, we want caption C for the social caption, media URL, just like the previous module. Make sure that this is successfully integrated as well. Then click save. And again, you want to frequently be clicking save so that way we can keep saving this automation so we don't lose anything. Now, when it comes to posting on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook, for example, there's a big difference, of course, between posting from personal pages and company pages. And so inside your Blotato dashboard, when you integrate your Facebook or you integrate your LinkedIn account for the first time, you're going to get prompted to also give access to any company pages that you have access to. So here I have a couple here for Facebook, and then I just gave access to all the LinkedIn pages that I have access to from my personal account. So if we go into this automation and then click my LinkedIn module, of course, first, make sure our Blotato account is connected, platform, leave it at LinkedIn. And then here it's going to ask to connect to your LinkedIn account. There's only one option. This is your personal account, so leave that. And then it's going to ask you for a LinkedIn page. But notice this says optional. So if you only want to post from your personal account on LinkedIn or Facebook, just leave this blank. If you want to post from a company page, select your preferred company page from the dropdown right here. For the text, same as previous, right? We want to make sure that the text is the caption, column C. And then for the media URL, same as previous, make sure that it says media URL. So I'm going to click save, and then the same process with Facebook. Make sure our Blotato account's connected, choose Facebook, make sure we have our personal Facebook profile connected. If you want to do a Facebook page, it should have the drop down of integrated Facebook pages. And then for the video type, just leave it on Reel. And then same as before for the text, make sure it's caption C or column C pulling from that Google Sheet. Same as before with the media URL. And then go ahead and click save. Now, let's say that there are platforms on here that you don't want to post from. Well, all you would have to do if you're using my template, right click, and then you would simply click delete module. Or let's say there's platforms here that you want to add. So if I go back to my Blotato account, let's say for instance you want to add Pinterest or Threads, right? So let's do Threads for example. If you have a Threads account, so what you would do is you would right click one of these existing modules, click clone, and then it would create an additional module. Now, what we want to do here is make sure that this is connected to that router so it fires properly. I right click and click rename, and I'd suggest doing Threads so we can stay organized. Click into the module, make sure your account is connected. For the platform, we want to change it to Threads, and then it will pull that Threads integration from Blotato. So for the Threads account, here's my Threads right here. For the text, same as before. I just want that caption. Media URL, same exact process as before as well. So I'm going to click save and then go ahead and click save again. So after all of your social media modules are configured correctly with Blotato, you'll notice there are two remaining modules here, and they're both Google Sheets modules: Get Row ID and Update Status to Posted. This is where the magic happens inside this automation. If I pull up my social media process as an example, you'll notice column D says status, and then column E says posted date. So every day at 8 a.m., which is my interval, now you can change that, and I'll talk about that later in this video. What this automation is looking for is the very next row here that says ready to post. And so once it finds that, it's going to post it. As you'll see today, which is September 5th, the day I'm recording this video, my post went out at 8 a.m. and then it automatically changed ready to post to posted. That way tomorrow it'll go to this one, the next day it'll go to that one, etc., etc. That's what keeps this automation running on autopilot. Now, you don't have to necessarily have the posted date. I added that because it helps me stay organized just for future reference, but that is the reasoning here of these last two Google Sheets modules. So if I click into Get Row ID, there's really nothing that you have to do here except make sure that your account with Google Sheets is connected right here. But you did that in the first module, so you should find your dropdown pretty easily. Leave select from Drive. Make sure that you click your correct spreadsheet ID where everything is housed. Make sure you click the correct sheet, right? So sheet 1, I talked about that earlier as well. Table contains headers, leave it yes. Column range, just leave it at A, C to Z. And then for the filter, this should be good to go, but just double check it. For title A, we want to make sure that that matches the column title A in our Google Sheet. Media URL Google Drive B, we want to make sure that that matches column B, Media URL Google Drive B. And to double check that this is working correctly, you'll see different inputs here inside this make.com automation or this make.com module where it says, are AI agents overhyped? That's pulling in the title. And then media URL Google Drive B, it's pulling in that Google Drive URL as well. Order by, leave blank, ascending, limit 1. Go ahead and click save and then click save again. And then for this last Google Sheets module of update status to posted, again, just like before, all we have to do is make sure that our Google account is integrated, make sure we have the correct spreadsheet, the correct sheet name, and then for row number, you'll notice here from before, we have row number from the previous module, Get Row ID. So just make sure that row number is selected here. Table contains headers, yes, and then under here, all we need to do is make sure that this says posted, make sure it is spelled exactly like I'm showing you right here, and then this is what's going to enter that date every time that you publish a post, where it automatically fills in the publish date. That's the quick little formula for that. So then go ahead and click save again, and now our AI social media automation is correctly set up. But before we just open the floodgates and start using this automation, we first want to test it to make sure that everything is firing properly. And so what I would recommend you do, and I do this all the time when I test different content automations, is I'll create kind of a dummy module. So what I'll do is I'll actually clone this LinkedIn module. I'll make sure it's connected to my router. So I'm going to unlink it, link it to the router. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this, and I'm just going to do, let's see here, let's do test module. And then within that module, what I like to do is actually select a LinkedIn page that gets no following, has no traction. So you can create a dummy LinkedIn page if you want as well. But I know this LinkedIn page in particular doesn't get a lot of traction. So I'm going to use it as my testing ground. I'm going to click save. And then what we need to do now is we need to go ahead and disable all of these routes to our official social channels. That way, when we're testing it, it's not blasting off to our social media profiles. So I'm going to click disable route. right click, disable route, right click, disable route. Let's disable. Okay, so now that all of the routes have been disabled to my official social profiles except my test module. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to click run once. So I'm going to click run once, and then this automation will run, and I'm going to skip ahead and wait till this is complete. All right, and that automation ran through successfully. And I know this because, first of all, there were no errors in make.com. Everything fired correctly. If I go look at my LinkedIn page where I dummy tested this, it automatically posted correctly with the video and the caption. And then if I go to my Google Sheet, it automatically changed the next row from ready to post to posted. So this did work correctly. Now, one of the final steps here is we need to change our interval. So if you want to post once per day, every day at 8 a.m., click change this interval, click every day, and then choose 8 a.m. Now you can do every day at noon, every day at 1. You can do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Whatever it is, just set your preference in that interval. And of course, we need to go back here and then probably delete this. So I'm going to delete this test module. And then I also want to enable route for every single official channel. That way it is firing correctly. So I'm going to enable all the routes. And then I would just recommend clicking save, and then you should be good to go. So you've successfully set up this social media automation, but we're not done yet. You're probably wondering, well, Ryan, what about the actual content of the social media posts within this Google Sheet? Obviously, if we enabled this automation, we don't want to post sample title 1 and then a sample caption. You probably want your Google Sheet to end up looking more like mine, which is completely dialed in at this point. And so what you want to do, and this can look overwhelming, but where I would start is I would open up that Google Drive folder where you're going to store all your media assets, and I would recommend just adding in short videos and images. If I click list view, remember, if you look at file size, it has to be under 100 megabits in file size in order for this to process correctly through make.com and Blotato. I'd recommend just starting with images. That's probably going to be your best bet just to get going. And so once you dump a bunch of images in your folder, now you want to make sure they're relevant, right? Not just random images. You want to make sure that they're engaging images, relevant images. You could generate them with Nano Banana, GPT-4o, or have a graphic designer generate some things, but just have some images in here so you can start to get a feel of how this works and then improve over time. So what you want to do is once you have some actual files in this Google Drive folder, what we want to do is hold down Shift, and I want to highlight all of these different files. And what you can do is click this link icon, and that'll copy the 35 links right here of my media files. Then what I would recommend you do is I have a custom GPT that makes this process easier. And by the way, that is available right here under these important notes if you want to access it. I have a conversation starter right here that says when I provide a list of URLs, organize them where I can copy and paste into a Google Sheet. Because if I go back to my Google Sheet and try to paste all those URLs, it's simply not going to work. So let's go back to this custom GPT, paste all those URLs right here, and then this is going to reformat it in a way where I can easily copy and paste it and then come back to that Google Sheet. So it should roll through here correctly. Remember, there's 35 links to go through, and then here it is. So I'm going to click copy code to get all of those URLs, come back to that Google Sheet. Just to make this process easier, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this placeholder content, but you do want to leave ready to post. That's important that we leave that along with these columns right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste the video URLs inside column B under media URL. Now there's a lot here, but to keep this simple, let's go ahead and start with maybe like 5, right? So I'm just going to do 5 videos to start. So we'll do these first 5 right here. Now, when it comes to the video title, I probably should have mentioned this as well. If we go back to our folder, what you want to do is, this is what I've been doing. There's probably a better way to do this, is I've literally been taking a screenshot. So we're going to do 5 here in this example of these different video files. So we're going to screenshot this. And then what we're going to do is come back to ChatGPT in that same chat. I'm going to upload that screenshot that I just took. So let's go ahead and find that on my desktop. Then I'm going to say, now place the video file names in a format where I can copy and paste into a Google Sheet column. And I know this sounds a little monotonous and tedious, and there's probably a better way to do this than what I'm showing you, but we're just going to start here for now. So I'm going to copy these titles, come back to this. and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it right here. And what I would recommend you do, just for quality assurance, is I would hover over this to make sure that the title matches the actual video or image that it's going to. So that's correct. AI versus automation, that's correct. AI in email, AI in personal branding, AI SEO ranking. So all of those are correct. So we're going to go ahead and pause there, and now let's go into the captions. So now we have our title, we have our media URL for the video or image, and now we need our social media captions. And I'm sure, again, there is a better way to do this, especially if you have Gemini Advanced or whatever it's called, Gemini Pro. There's probably a way within Google Sheets that you could use it and generate captions based on whatever the title is here in column A. That's something I'm going to explore later on. But for the purposes of this example, I do have a custom GPT set up for this purpose. So what you can do is pull up this custom GPT. I will leave it in the video description below. You can click this conversation starter that says create engaging social media captions using my instructions based on the video titles when I upload a screenshot. So that's where this screenshot is going to come in handy once again. If I click add files and more, add photos and files, let's find that screenshot of those video titles. And I'm actually going to say don't format for Google Sheets. You'll see why I'm doing this first. We first want to assure quality assurance, right? We want to make sure these captions are good and not just some AI slop captions with 5 emojis, M dashes that we see everywhere that people are doing. So now let's just, for example, let's say this caption is good. We've read through these. Here's video title 1, video title 2, video title 3, etc. And let's just copy the first caption. I'm going to show you how to do this one by one and then also in one shot. So we can copy this first caption, come back to the relevant cell here. So the first video is advice for starting a YouTube channel. We would simply paste it in column C2, or excuse me, cell C2, just like this. Now, a quick formatting tip, if you're using hashtags, I would add a few spaces. It just looks better when you're seeing it on social media that way. And there's our first social media post ready to go. Let's delete this, and I'm going to come back to the custom GPT. I'm going to say now format for Google Sheets. So instead of doing it one by one, like I just showed you, copy, paste into the Google Sheet, copy, paste into the Google Sheet, etc., this is now going to provide us with all of the captions. So I'm going to click copy right here. Let's go back to this caption column and then paste right here. So notice how it pasted all of those captions versus the one by one like I showed you before. Now for status, this is important. Every time you have a post here, you want to drag this status down and make sure that it says ready to post. If you do not have this, then the automation will not run through successfully. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now, another important point here, once you have this set up, I'm going to go back to my social media automation is let's say, for instance, that you don't want hashtags. So I'll be honest, on platforms like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok, hashtags are very important. But on platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, or even X at this point, hashtags are not as important. So what I actually do is I have one column or one tab, dedicated to YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. And then I have another tab dedicated to just X and LinkedIn posts. So you'll notice in my captions here for X and LinkedIn, I do not have hashtags. It's the exact same thing. I literally just duplicated the sheet into another one for different columns or for different platforms. Now, what I should say is if I'm confusing you by now, I did have to set up another automation inside make.com in order for that to work since I'm using a different Google Sheets tab. This is the one I just showed you. And then you'll notice right here, I have one for X and LinkedIn automation. So that's the one pulling from the other Google Sheets tab. But regardless, that's a little more convoluted for this particular example. I'm just trying to show you how you would come up with titles, the media URLs for the video files or the image files, and then also generating those engaging social media captions based on whatever that title and image or video is. So I know there's a ton of other little details that I could get into here of how I'm consistently generating these videos and just making sure that everything is running on autopilot. And that is a big disclaimer here with this social media automation is if right now I didn't touch this, I would be good until October 16th without doing anything. but it did take some manual work to set this up prior versus letting it just completely run hands off, letting AI run the show. And there are ways that you can do that with using like a Chat GPT module, Claude, or a Gemini module to generate the captions inside that automation. But the big reason that I would recommend that you do not do that, even though it sounds very shiny, is if you're doing this for yourself, or let's say you're doing this for clients, this system right here prevents AI slop. It prevents things from breaking. It is essentially quality control. I would rather spend an hour a week going through a Google Sheet, double checking captions, media files, titles, making sure the automation is firing correctly, versus letting AI just run the show and that hoping nothing doesn't break or that the captions look good or the media assets look good or something falls through the cracks, because it always will at this point. We're not there yet where an AI agent can just literally run your social media and have it be high quality and actually convert. It can run your social media, don't get me wrong, there are ways to do it, but the quality is not there. It just does not move the needle, regardless of what all the other clickbait videos on the internet will tell you. I would rather have this system for quality control than let AI just run 100% of the show. So just know that's why I'm doing it this way. And so now I want to prove to you that this social media automation does actually work and move the needle versus the typical guru content where they'll show you this really cool thing and then half the times it doesn't work, or most of the time it doesn't really move the needle. And so here's my YouTube Shorts. If you go to my YouTube Shorts, all of these videos are posting from my automation. Now, this isn't crazy viral. You know, a lot of these are getting 700, 800, almost 1,000 views probably on average with these videos. And that doesn't sound crazy, but I would rather post a video every single day without me stressing or thinking about it and get 1,000 views on YouTube Shorts versus stressing out about it, going in every day into the platform, uploading, crossing our fingers that one video goes viral. There's a lot of stress and burnout associated with that. And then when it comes to TikTok, now my numbers aren't as good as on YouTube Shorts. I'm getting 200, 300, 700 with this one. I had one the other day that went 1,000 here and there, right? So not as good as YouTube Shorts. And just something I've noticed about TikTok is when you're posting via the APIs, they tend to shadow ban you a little bit more versus actually uploading within the platform. But again, it's a time saver. I would rather post from the APIs, take a little hit on the reach than stressing about going into the platform every day, uploading a video just so I can hopefully get a little more reach. I just wouldn't even stress about that. And then same with Instagram Reels, it's automatically posting across all of my different Instagram Reels. By the way, follow me on all of these platforms if you aren't already. I just want to show you that this automation is working successfully for me. Same with Facebook, same with Twitter, same with LinkedIn, and all the other platforms that I have integrated. So that is my AI social media automation in a nutshell. I tried to be as transparent as possible about this whole system. There's a lot of moving parts, so I apologize if I missed a few details here and there. And if you have a question, be sure to leave a comment below. And by the way, if you've made it this far into the tutorial, I truly appreciate you. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you ended up finding value here, which, by the way, there's a ton of value that I just gave out for free in this tutorial. I've seen so many different people on social media charging hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for some crazy social media automation, but I just showed you exactly what they're doing completely for free. So if you appreciate that, give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Lastly, I do have a community here. I will leave a link for that in the video description below as well. This is a great way to support me and also get a ton of additional exclusive content with all of my different AI automations, including the one I just showed you. I leave JSON files, other references, and further instructions. So it's only a few dollars to get started, and you can find that link to join my community in the video description below. But most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.